Let's give thanks for books. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Hello. Welcome to the Library Hall Thanksgiving Special. I'm your host, Cedar Dunn, and I'm very happy that you're here with me today. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode. Today, we are going to talk about books and authors that I'm thankful for, and I have 4 books to share with you. All right, let's dig in. The first one is for the little kiddos, and this is an adorable book called Bear Says Thanks. And in this book, Bear is actually in his cave all by himself. He's alone. He is sad. There's no one around, and he's bored. But he also doesn't have any food in his cupboard. So he can't invite people over for supper. But then one by one, his adorable friends come around and they each bring a treat with them. And so the rabbit comes and brings the muffins, and the badger comes and brings some fish. And it's just very cute. And so by the end of the book, they're basically having like an animal potluck, and they're all happy to be together. And Bear just says thanks because his friends have shown up for him and they've brought food, and everybody loves Bear. And so it's just a super cute book. So if you have a kid in your life and this resonates with you, to give them a little book about saying thanks and sharing food, 'tis the season, and that's a really cute one. So very cute. All right, the rest of the books are for us adults, and the first one that I'm going to say thanks for is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I love Elizabeth Gilbert just in general, because, well, who doesn't? And this is a book that I really love. I think I've read this maybe 2 or 3 times. It's one of those books that you can pick up every couple of years when you need like a little inspiration and a little encouragement, as far as if you're needing to, work on different ideas or get something done. It's just a really great book. The subtitle is Creative Living Beyond Fear. And she's just a delight. I mean, that's really what Elizabeth Gilbert is. She's just a delight, and she shares lots of stories and lots of inspirational things in this book. And she writes here on the back, creativity is sacred, and it is not sacred. What we make matters enormously, and it doesn't matter at all. We toil alone, and we are accompanied by spirits. We are terrified, and we are brave. Art is a crushing chore and a wonderful privilege. The work wants to be made, and it wants to be made through you. So talking about that sort of mystical mystery that is creativity, and how it flows through you. And I love it. Love this book. So if you are looking for some inspiration, this is a good one for you. So big thanks to Elizabeth Gilbert for existing in the world and for creating such a beautiful book. All right, the next one is a book by David Sedaris, and this one is called Calypso. And I think this is the last book of his I read. And of course, I am so thankful for David Sedaris just being alive on this planet and sharing his gift of writing with the world. He is so funny. He's such a wonderful writer. He is like so poignant and funny and droll. And I love him, as so many people do. I've seen him live, and he's just phenomenal. If you haven't really heard of him or checked him out, even just like look him up on YouTube and look at some of his interviews. He is just hilarious. He really is. It's amazing. And he's so unique and quirky. And I picked this book actually because it really highlights how he is able to take issues and stories in his life that are actually quite sad. So in this book, he writes about his sister Tiffany, who actually killed herself. And he writes in a story about the last time he saw her. And the story is called, I think it's called The Spirit World. And the last time he saw her, she came to one of his performances, and he didn't want to see her. So he had the security guard close the door on her when she was trying to see him. And the way he wrote it, I mean, it gave me such chills. I don't know. It just stayed with me for days because it was just like, it was just one of those moments where, obviously he regretted it and he never saw her again. And, I think we all have that, right? We have those moments where we just, something comes over us and we aren't in our authentic, true self. We are in some kind of other self, our ego self, whatever you want to call it. And we deny love or we deny connection and we regret it. And he just does the way he writes is just so beautiful. And I would say that about everything David Sedaris writes. Highly recommend this book and really anything he writes. I mean, if you haven't read him, start from the beginning. Start with Me Talk Pretty One Day. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I'm quite sure it's held up so well. I mean, he's amazing. So I'm so thankful for David Sedaris. All right. And the final book I want to highlight today is called Deep Creek, Finding Hope in the High Country. And this is by Pam Houston. And Pam Houston is obviously a writer who has written a few different books. And this book is about her life, and she lives on a ranch at 9,000 feet. Wow, that's so high up. Oh my God. In Colorado, near the headwaters of the Rio Grande. So she talks about her life on this ranch, and she has animals and, all of the farm things you have to do. So just for that, it's an interesting read, right? If you're kind of, often for us urban dwellers as people, that it's just a nice, like, escape into a different world or different life. But why I'm really highlighting this book and why I'm so grateful for and thankful for Pam Houston is because in this book, she talked about her beloved dog. And her beloved dog was named Fenton. And Fenton was her dog. It was like one of those special relationships where he was hers and she was his. And she writes, to say Fenton was intelligent, to say he had a wider range of emotions than anyone I dated in my 20s and 30s is really to only scratch the surface of what a magnificent creature he was. I mean, he was the ranch manager, hypervigilant but not neurotic, keeping his eye on everything, animals, people, making sure no one was out of sorts or out of place. And she just goes on to just beautifully describe her relationship with this dog. And when I was reading this, I had recently, my own dog had passed away, and I wasn't able to be with my dog when he passed away. And it was a great heartbreak for me. I mean, to this day, it's one of the great heartbreaks of my life because I loved that dog so much. And not to be there at the end was just so, I don't know, it really was so hard. And she describes in this, Fenton got arthritis. And then when he was about 8 years old, it was getting very severe. And she writes about how basically she had to put him down. But what really got me was that the way she wrote about it and how she and her friends, the people that loved Fenton, she got steaks for everyone. People came and were with him and her. She spent the night next to him on the floor. She laid out a sleeping bag, and she really experienced the death of this dog. Like, she was really with him to the end, like just in it. And for me reading that, I didn't even realize the amount of grief I had from my own situation with my own dog. I didn't realize how deeply sad I was about that. And I think I had also recently lost my dad. So I also had grief with that. So I read this book and it was like, I mean, it just opened the floodgates. I think I cried for maybe a day and a half straight. It felt like, I mean, really deep cry. And so I'm just so grateful for Pam Houston for sharing that story and all the stories that are in this book. Because you just never know, right, how something will touch someone. And for some reason, hearing about how well she loved this dog to the very end was exactly what I don't know, I think I needed to hear, to have some kind of healing or something just move through me and out of me to help me grieve my own dog. And so, Pam Houston, thank you for writing that beautiful story. And that is the conclusion of the Thanksgiving special. I hope that you enjoyed that and maybe you feel inspired to read one of these books. Links to the books are in the description, and anytime you buy a book through my link, you support this little show. I hope you enjoyed this today, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and have some time, restful time and quiet time, and maybe even time to read a book. All right, see you next time on the Library Hall. Hey there! If you liked this video, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel. To support us, please use the links in the video description or at libraryhall.com to purchase the featured books. Thanks for watching!